In a crowded call center, a supervisor forces a bleeding woman to keep taking calls, pressing her headset back to ready while the keyboard glows red. A team lead, up for a promotion, risks his standing by overriding the system, walking her to first aid, and taking the metric hit himself. Quiet care exposes the woman's hidden burdens, and the act triggers small, lasting changes across the floor, without speeches or applause. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The blood hit the keyboard. It made a sharp, wet dot on the 0 key. Then a thin red line slid into the gap between the numbers. The supervisor leaned over the cubicle wall and tapped the woman's headset button back to ready with 2 fingers. "Hold it and talk," he said. Eyes on the keyboard. She pinched her nose with one hand, fumbled with the tissue box with the other, and stared at the flashing screen. Calls waiting 37. Service level, red. "I need a minute," she said. Her voice sounded thick. He lowered her mic to her mouth and nudged the tissue up against her face. "We can't blow the hour." He glanced at the numbers again. "Answer." Thomas stood 3 rows away and watched her shoulders pull in. The room hummed with air vents and cheap carpet smell. Headsets clicked on and off like bugs. He knew her name only from the seating chart and the way she always sat too straight. Maria, new hire. He'd coached her on 2 warm transfers last week. His own desk flashed an invite for 2:00 p.m. A meeting with HR about the open supervisor spot. He straightened his lanyard without thinking. He had promised himself no drama this week, no side coaching outside his pod, no hero moves. His boss had said it with a smile. "Don't insert yourself, T. You're up. Metrics first." The supervisor, Adler, wasn't a bad guy. He just counted. He lived by that scoreboard. He had a baby coming this spring and kept talking about paint colors. Now he clicked his tongue, watching the red numbers. "You're on a point if you leave the desk," he said to Maria, not loud, not soft. He wiped his hand on her mousepad like this was normal. Tomas felt the old pitch of heat in his chest. He looked at the clock. 1:57 p.m. He could make this somebody else's problem. He could also hear the way her breathing started to hitch. She wasn't talking into the mic. She was trying not to drip. He stepped out from behind his station. His chair wheels squeaked. 2 rows of heads turned and then away. The floor smells were stronger out in the aisle. Warm electronics, spilled coffee, the ghost of carpet cleaner from the morning. He walked to her cube and set his badge on her desk. "You're done," he said, calm. He reached past her and hit his override key on the phone console. ARGS 9. Wellness. The screen chirped and flipped her to not ready. Under the status code, it stamped his team lead ID. The time hit him, too. His numbers were going to eat it. He didn't look at the board. Adler's hand came down on his wrist. Not hard, just there. "Don't," Adler said. He looked tired. There were tiny salt tracks at the corners of his eyes from too much coffee. "Put her back." Tomas turned his wrist and freed it. He took a clean stack of tissues from his own drawer and pressed them into Maria's hand. "Down and forward," he said. "Don't lean back." He kept his voice even. He pulled her rolling chair out. "Up slow. Let's go to first aid." "She walks out. She takes a point," Adler said. He didn't reach again. He stood over them, stuck between the wall and the aisle. His eyes flicked up at the red numbers. "You know my board is dying." It was half a plea. "Write me up," Tomas said. He used his badge to log her screen out and lock the station. More heads turned. Someone coughed. The LED board ticked to 39 waiting. Adler didn't move. "You are up for my job," he said it like a fact, like passing a bolt across a bench. "Don't make me do this right now." Tomas slid the biohazard tent sign out from under the sink cabinet in his mind, even though it actually lived in the janitor's closet. He pictured it on her desk, so no one would sit there. He looked at Maria. Her eyes shone, but she wasn't crying. The tissue was already pink. He put his palm under her elbow and nodded toward the aisle. "Come on." A manager from the back office appeared in the hall with a tablet under her arm, pulled by the tone in the air. She looked at Adler, then Tomas, then Maria. "What is happening?" "Medical minute," Tomas said. "Oz 9 under me." "We don't have medical minutes," the manager said, but softer. Her eyes cut to the keyboard, saw the smear, and then flicked to the break room door. "Fine. 5 minutes, then both of you in my office." She didn't look at Maria when she said it. She looked at the board. Thank you, Tomas said. He didn't wait for 5 to turn into 3. He walked with Maria down the aisle between cubes. Her free hand clutched the tissue box like a lunch pail. The fluorescent lights buzzed above. The carpet grabbed at their shoes. The first aid room was smaller than a bathroom. Beige paint. Metal sink. A cabinet with a plastic tumbler and bandages. The mirror had a sticker that said "Wash hands, please." Tomas got her into the chair and tilted her forward. He found a cold pack in the cabinet, cracked it to activate the gel, and wrapped it in a paper towel before he pressed it to the back of her neck. "Breathe through your mouth." She did. The tissue stained steadily and then slowed. Her breath steadied. The room smelled like antiseptic and dust. "Any meds today?" he asked. "Aspirin? Blood thinner?" "Just ibuprofen," she said. She swallowed. "I skipped lunch." He ran water into the plastic cup and set it next to her. "Sip slowly." The door opened and the manager stood there with her tablet. 3 minutes, she said. She looked at the gel pack in Tomas's hand. "You put your ID on that ox." "I did," he said. "HR will want a note," she said. "And you're not meeting at 2. Sit tight after this. We'll talk." She closed the door. No slam. Maria made a small sound in her throat. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said. He found himself speaking like he did to his nephew, crisp and simple because the kid would spiral if he heard too many words. "It's fine." He stepped out for a second, grabbed the biohazard kit from the janitor's closet, and roped off her cube with yellow cord. He saw the smear again on the 0 key and felt a tiny flicker of rage at that stupid round button. He bagged the keyboard and called facilities with his phone. "Station 312 needs a new board," he said. "Biohazard clean required." His voice came out flat. He hung up and for a second noticed how his hands shook. Back in first aid, the tissue had gone from red to pink to almost white. Maria looked past him toward the paper towel dispenser like it was a window. Her lips trembled and pressed together. She shook her head a little like she was hoping the last minute hadn't happened. "You good to sit another minute?" he asked. She nodded. He glanced toward her tote bag on the floor where it had fallen when they rushed out. The top had gaped open. Inside, he saw a half-eaten pack of crackers, a roll of quarters and bank paper, a bus pass folded and worn at the edges, and a crumpled paper saying "Pay or Quit" in bold at the top. The date was 2 days from now. Under it, a hospital visitor sticker with a name he didn't know and a date from last week. He looked away. He hadn't meant to see any of it. She caught his gaze anyway and tucked the notice deeper into the bag with quick fingers. "It's nothing," she said. It was the kind of nothing that made people's voices go thin. He picked up the plastic cup and handed it to her. "Drink a little more." Out on the floor, phones sang. The scoreboard bled red to yellow and back. He'd been able to tune it out for years, the way city people tune out sirens, until he couldn't. He listened to the hum and thought about the email he'd get in 5 minutes. He thought of his rent, his sister's daycare that he helped cover, his mum's text last night with a picture of his dad's old workbench that she still hadn't sold. The door opened just enough for Adler's face. He didn't come in. He didn't say anything for a second. His jaw worked. "She's okay?" he asked. "She will be," Tomas said. "Get me the final later. Or now. Whatever." Adler took a slow breath. He looked smaller in the doorway. "I have a board," he said. "But, okay." He shifted his weight. "You know you tanked your interview." Tomas nodded. "I know. We can't have everybody taking breaks every time a nose runs," Adler said. It sounded like a line he'd told himself for years. He rubbed his temple with 2 fingers. "I need you on the floor when you're done." "I'll be in your office first," Thomas said. "You can tell me I'm stupid. Then I'll log in." Adler opened his mouth like he was going to say something else, and then didn't. He closed the door softly. Maria laughed once, a little broken puff of air. "You're going to get in trouble," she said. "Already am," he said, and smiled. He set his phone on the chair next to her. "You need to call someone. You can use mine." She looked at it like it was a glass thing. "I don't have minutes," she admitted. "I need to ask if I can pick up my little brother from the clinic. He gets breathing treatments Mondays. I was going to take a 5 at 2:30 and call." "Call now," he said. She did, quick, a few words, a thank you, a promise to hurry. She kept the phone tight to her ear. When she handed it back, the cold pack had gone soft. The tissue stayed clean. They walked back out together. He set the tent sign on her desk. Facilities rolled up with a cart and a plastic bin. Tomas signed the work order. His name came out shaky on the line. A co-worker 2 cubes over slid a pack of wipes across the divider without looking at anyone. The wipes said lemon on the lid. The manager met him halfway down the aisle with her tablet. "Your interview is postponed," she said. She didn't make it sound like a punishment. She made it sound like a storm had pushed a flight back. "We need to talk about boundaries and codes and optics." "We can talk," he said. He looked past her at Maria, who was cleaning under her nails with a tissue like the tiny action might erase everything. "I'm available." The office smelled like hand lotion and printer ink. He sat, hands on his knees. She held up a form and then put it down. "Adler told me what you did. I told him to get the board back up, and I told him to stop knocking headsets back to ready when someone is bleeding." Her voice was clipped, but it had a hole in the middle where something like shame sat. "That cannot be a thing here." "Okay," Thomas said. He didn't try to fill the hole. He didn't say anything about leadership. He just looked at the fake plant in the corner and tried to keep his breathing from sounding like a run. "You used Ox9 under your ID for someone outside your pod," she said. "That's cost to you." "I know. We will document," she said. "We're also going to put tissues at every station. And if someone needs to step away because they're bleeding, they will step away. Even if the board is red." She typed something on the tablet without looking up. "Sit on nights this week. We'll revisit the supervisor track next month. Nights paid $1 less an hour. Nights meant his mom wouldn't have him to walk her to the bus stop on Wednesday. Nights meant his sister would be alone at bedtime with the baby." He nodded anyway. "Okay." He went back to the floor. The hum had settled. The LED board was yellow now. There was a new box of tissues on his desk. It was blue, with a pattern of white leaves. Someone had set one on Maria's desk too. She tapped it once with 2 fingers like it was a pet. He logged in. The calls rolled toward him like small, heavy waves. He took them. He said the script with his name and the company name and "thank you for waiting." Across the aisle, Maria sat straighter. She had swapped her bloody sweater for a spare hoodie someone had hanging on the back of a chair. It was navy, a size too big. It had the name of a softball team crackled on the front. After his shift, he wiped down his station and walked to the break room. It was always too cold in there. The vending machine hummed like a tired teacher. He leaned against the counter and let the cold blow into his spine. Maria came in for hot water. She held a paper cup between both hands. Not like she was holding heat, but like she was keeping it from spilling. "Thanks," she said without looking at him. She had put on chapstick that smelled like fake cherries. "You didn't have to." He shrugged. "I did." She lifted a shoulder. "I don't get points for bleeding, right?" He snorted. "Weird rule." He smiled at the floor. She smiled too, quick and sideways. Then she left. That week, small things shifted. A maintenance guy walked through with a crate of tissues and set one on every desk, even the empty ones. Someone taped a typed note by the sinks. "Nosebleed, sit, breathe, breathe." Ox9. 2 plastic pitchers appeared by the water cooler, with slices of lemon floating like coins. A new line popped onto the dashboard. Wellness minutes. It was small, in grey. Adler started carrying a little pack of pocket tissues and kept setting them on desks without saying anything. He still watched the board like it was a sunrise only he could see. But twice Tomas saw him look at someone's pale face and say, "Take 5." On Thursday, Maria kept a cluster of grapes at her desk, stuck with a broken toothpick like she had planned to be kind to herself in 15-second bites. A woman from the far pod quietly asked if anyone wanted to trade to give Maria the earlier bus. No one made speeches. They just slid shifts around in the shared calendar and let the lines fall into new shapes. Thomas worked nights. The calls were slower, voices softer, more pauses. The windows looked out on a parking lot with sodium lights. When he took a break at midnight, the city outside had the stillness that happens only when even the bars are emptying out. He sat on the back step and watched a tiny strip of sky caught between buildings, a grey slice. He did not get the "We cannot proceed" email that week. He did get a final write-up, and he signed it. His hand didn't shake this time. He put the paper in his drawer under the gum and the spare batteries for his headset. At the end of his Friday shift, he walked the aisles. The air felt different, less burnt coffee, more lemon from the wipes. He saw Maria laughing at something a caller said, then covering the mic to cough, then sipping water slow. Her screen flashed away for a minute, then ready. She moved at her own speed for that one tiny step. He sat back at his station and watched the board breathe up and down. For a second, he let his eyes unfocus until the red and yellow and green turned into a soft moving bar of light. He thought of the stupid round zero key with the smear and the way the new keyboard had clicked freshly when they installed it. He didn't think about next month. He ran his thumb along the edge of the tissue box until a single white corner poked out, waiting in case. He watched the tiny red light warm and fade on his phone. Outside, the parking lot lamps cast simple, even pools on the blacktop, steady circles you could walk through without rushing.